What is your response to your critics that say not only you, but also your cabinet is filled with conflicts of interest? And do you plan to set an example in the future to make sure that your cabinet and everyone throughout your administration?
Can you be specific on what guidance you're giving congressional Republicans on the timeline for repeal and replace?
Sure. We're going to be submitting, as soon as our secretary is approved, almost simultaneously, shortly thereafter, a plan. It'll be repeal and replace. It will be essentially simultaneously. It will be various segments, you understand, but will most likely be on the same day or the same week, but probably the same day, could be the same hour. So we're going to do repeal and replace. Very complicated stuff. And we're going to get a health bill passed.
I also wanted to ask you, though, if you have outlined a plan for what you want the replace package to look like. Would it guarantee coverage for those who have gotten health insurance through the current Obamacare law?
So as soon as our secretary is approved and gets into the office, we'll be filing a plan. And it was actually pretty accurately reported today, the New York Times. And the plan will be repeal and replace Obamacare. We're going to have a health care that is far less expensive and far better.
When you look at all the meetings that you've had with Carrier and SoftBank and Alibaba, do you conceive of making this a program, maybe sitting inside of Commerce? And then my follow-up question to that is, how soon will we see the program on capital repatriation and corporate tax cuts?
There will be a major border tax on these companies that are leaving and getting away with murder.
I also want you to ask you about something you said on Twitter this morning. Are we living in Nazi Germany? What were you driving at there? Do you have a problem with the intelligence community?
I think it was disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out. I think it's a disgrace. And I say that, and that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do. I think it's a disgrace.
And on the Supreme Court, what's your timeline? You said a while ago you were down to 4. Have you conducted those interviews yet? What's your timeline for nominating?
I'll be making the decision on who we will put up for Justice of the United States Supreme Court, a replacement for the great, great Justice Scalia. That will be probably within 2 weeks of the 20th. So within about 2 weeks, probably the second week.
And on the border fence, it now appears clear U.S. taxpayers will have to pay for it up front. What is your plan to get Mexico to pay for it?
Mexico, in some form, and there are many different forms, will reimburse us, and they will reimburse us for the cost of the wall. That will happen. Whether it's a tax or whether it's a payment, probably less likely that it's a payment, but it will happen. So,
since you're attacking us, can you give us a question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Obama went too far with the sanctions he put on Russia after the hacking. Do you think they're
I don't say he went too far.
And what will you roll them back? And what do you think of Lindsey Graham's plan to send you a bill for tougher ones?
Plans to send me a bill for what?
For tougher sanctions.
I hadn't heard Lindsey Graham was going to do that.
As far as we understand it, the intelligence community are still looking at these allegations. It's false news, as you describe it. If they come back with any kind of conclusion that any of it stands up, that any of it is true, will you consider your position? Would you think
there's nothing they can come back with?
The published fake news and all the problems that we've seen throughout the media over the course of the election, what reforms do you recommend for this industry here?
Well, I don't recommend reforms. I recommend people that have some moral compass.
Do you trust your U.S. intelligence officials? And
Good question.
What do you say to foreign policy experts who say you're actually weakening national security by waging this war of words against that community?
Good question.
President-elect, you said just now that you believe that Russia indeed was responsible for the hacking of the DNC and John Podesta's emails, etc.
Well, Russia, but you know what? Could have been others also.
But why did you spend weeks undermining the U.S. intelligence community before simply getting the facts?
Good question.
Can you stand here today once and for all and say that no one connected to you or your campaign had any contact with Russia leading up to or during the presidential campaign? And if you indeed do believe that Russia was behind the hacking, what is your message to Vladimir Putin right now?
He shouldn't be doing it.